You know, in Michigan, you have a fantastic candidate running there in Tudor Dixon. I didn't know a lot about her. I saw some of this debate earlier today as I went through the program. Articulate, again, charismatic, smart, solid, as opposed to Whitmer, who is mechanical, radical, and a failed governor who's done tremendous damage to the state of Michigan. But I thought Tudor Dixon was absolutely outstanding. Let's take a little peek. Go.
It was the final showdown before Election Day.
Do you really think books are more dangerous than guns?
An hour-long matchup that at times was rough and tumble.
Her commercials are constantly saying that she gave $400 checks back to everyone. So I'm glad she's admitting that those checks didn't come from her.
Tonight is the final time we'll see both candidates on the same stage until the election in 2 weeks.
Big question remains, did either one do anything to change minds? Mara McDonald live at Oakland University tonight. Two candidates do have many serious differences on policy, and we saw that tonight, Mara.
Well, we sure did, Devin. And here's the other thing we saw. Under a sort of a veneer of civility and elegance, think fencing match, what this really was a knife fight. Take a look.
The first 10 minutes were all about abortion.
Proposal 3 allows abortion up to the moment of birth for any reason, including sex selection. There will be no legislating around Proposal 3 because it will be language in the Constitution.
None of what she just said is true. And here's why you can't trust anything she's saying when it comes to reproductive rights. She's the one that said a 14-year-old child raped by her uncle is a perfect example of someone who should not have reproductive rights and the ability to choose. She went further to say it is healing for a person who's raped to carry that child to term.
The second 10, the economy.
A governor cannot fix global inflation, but what I can do is put more money in your pockets, and that's exactly what we've done.
This governor has not done anything to help inflation, but I would put money back in your pockets. I would make sure we have that child tax credit. I would make sure that we reduce the income tax.
And then there was relitigating COVID when it comes to kids.
Mrs. Dixon says that I kept students out longer than any other state. That's just not true. I worked closely with my Republican and Democratic governors, and kids were out for 3 months.
I'm pretty sure I just heard an audible gasp around town when Gretchen Whitmer said that kids were out of school for 3 months. Perhaps she wasn't paying attention to what was actually happening. We even had schools that were closed this year. This is shocking to me.
And real differences on how to prevent school shootings.
I would like to have armed security at our schools. I would like to make sure that we have a one entry point. I would also like to implement some of that plan that talks about how to identify a child that struggles with mental health, that might be considering self-harm or harming someone else.
There was a school shooting in Missouri yesterday in a district that had exactly what she just described. One place of entry, armed guards in the school district, and people are dead. We've been trying that for 30 years.
Stop right there. And that individual who did that was killed quickly. Quickly. He broke into the school, even though they had followed all the practices, and started shooting. And they had armed guards there, and they shot back, and they killed him. Now, she's going on and on about guns, guns, guns. The fact of the matter is, that guy could have blown up the building. We've seen that happen with Timothy McVeigh. He could have stabbed little kids in the neck. We've seen that more recently. There's too many ways to kill people, but we can't prevent them all the time. But when somebody pulls a weapon and they start to shoot and somebody pulls another weapon and puts that person down, that's what's supposed to happen. What is it that she proposes? They've undermined the cops in Michigan. You've got rampant crime in major cities in Michigan. She's in charge of the state of Michigan, so she's not done a very good job when it comes to the streets in Michigan. The Second Amendment exists so people can protect themselves. We never get those statistics and examples of that. Whitmer is a failed political Democrat hack. She kept those kids out of those classrooms and compelled people to wear masks longer than almost any other Democrat blue state governor, and did enormous damage to the economy of Michigan and to the children of Michigan. Enormous damage. She's also unhinged. the way she talks and so forth. No, abortion, here's the deal. Any woman who wants an abortion in America will get an abortion. Do you know how I know that? Where are all the stories of women being prevented from getting abortions? Wouldn't you think the media would be running with those, or Democrats would have a long list of those in their commercials? They don't show any. They find a 10-year-old who was raped, horrific. Raped by her mother's boyfriend, who was an illegal alien, by the way. Should never been here. She was able to get an abortion. Maybe she didn't get it in her state, she got it across in the other state. So she did get an abortion. Okay, fine. She says her opponent opposes 14-year-olds with incest getting abortion. I don't believe that for 2 seconds. But that said, she's still going to get an abortion. So the issue isn't access to abortions or whether you're going to get abortions and so forth and so on. The issue to me is Whitmer and the other Democrats stand for the proposition that even when the science tells you it's a baby, putting aside even rape and incest, that a woman should have the right to kill that baby. That the baby that's 8.5 months has no rights whatsoever. Now that's contrary to the science. It's also contrary to human history. No civilized people treat their own babies that way. None. And of course, there won't be a description on how that occurs. I've mentioned it many times here, and I won't do it again. Go.
It's not working. It is time to try proven policies, background checks, secure storage.
There's already background checks if you purchase a weapon. There's already secure storage laws all over the place. But secure storage wouldn't have saved those 2 people who were murdered in St. Louis. And the vast majority of people who are murdered in this country aren't people who lawfully buy guns and put them in secure storage. The vast majority of murders in this country are done in the black community, black on black, young black men who don't care about storage or anything else because in many cases they're gang members. So we can talk about this over here, but this here is what's happening. And as long as fools like her don't confront it, all those black murders will continue to go on. I know it, you know it, the media know it, the statisticians know it, these communities know it, and yet we pretend it's not going on. It's one of the great civil rights issues of our time that's not confronted. Go ahead.
Red flag laws. I'm not talking about hunting. I'm just trying to keep our kids and communities safe.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've done a lousy job of it.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to LevinTV.com and subscribe now.